always thought the Backrooms were just a meme, a creepy internet story for people who want to scare themselves before bed. I read all those posts online about getting clipped out of reality and landing in those endless yellow hallways. Funny stuff. Until it happened to us. There were 4 of us that night. Me, my best friend Ryan, his little brother Jamie, and our friend Sam. It was the beginning of summer, the kind of sticky July night where you're happier indoors. We didn't have any plans except to hang out in my basement, play video games, maybe watch a scary movie. Looking back, I almost wish we'd stuck to Mario Kart and pizza. But Sam brought over this old VR headset his uncle left him. He swore it had this forbidden developer mode, some hidden software you could access if you knew the right button codes. Supposedly, it unlocked super realistic maps people had built for horror games. But Sam said he found something different. He said he'd seen references to a secret world, labeled Level 389, the uncatalogued zone. Ryan wanted to try it first. He put on the headset, and as soon as Sam tapped in the code, the screen glitched. Ryan froze for a second. The rest of us thought he was just acting, until he started mumbling, "What's that buzzing?" It got quieter in the room. I remember Sam's face going pale as he muttered, that wasn't supposed to happen. I tried to yank off Ryan's headset, but it wouldn't budge. It was almost like it fused to his head for a second. The screen on the headset flashed blinding yellow. Ryan's body jerked, and then he just vanished. I mean it. 1 second he was struggling on my couch. The next he wasn't even there. Jamie was screaming. Sam and I dove for the headset just as it started booting up that weird menu again. I don't know what I was thinking. I picked it up, trying to pull the battery, but my finger slipped, and suddenly yellow light was everywhere. The sound of static roared in my ears, and I felt my stomach turn inside out. When my vision cleared, I was standing on moist carpet under a buzzing yellow light. The air stank like old paper and moldy bread. I turned, and thank God, Jamie and Sam were there too, staring wild-eyed at the featureless yellow halls that branched off forever in every direction. "Where's Ryan?" Jamie said, voice trembling. I was going to answer, but then we heard it. A high, splitting whine in the lights above. A sound so sharp it made me dizzy. The floor beneath my shoes vibrated as the lights flickered. Sam whispered, "We're in it, aren't we? The Backrooms." I tried my phone, but there was no service, not even a clock. We started walking, yelling Ryan's name until our voices were hoarse. The place shifted around us. Halls multiplied, turned sharp corners, looped in on themselves. Sometimes I swear I saw a shape ahead, like a person or a shadow, but when I blinked, it was gone. The only constant was that high-frequency buzzing and the smell of wet carpet. After an eternity, we found a break room. It looked almost normal. A table, beat-up chairs, a half-stocked vending machine. But the snacks were ancient. Wrappers yellowed, sodas thick with green mold. Jamie found a notebook on the table, filled with shaky handwriting. "If you hear singing, don't follow," one page said. "If you see a face in the lights, do not look too long." Another note was scrawled on the wall above the table. "You're on level 389. Don't trust your ears." That was the first time I thought maybe, just maybe, we weren't alone. We sat there, too scared to eat, too tired to walk. That's when Sam whispered, "Guys, where's Jamie?" I spun around. One of the doors was slightly open. I could hear, faintly, the sound of laughing. Kids' laughter, but not quite right. Not Jamie's. "Jamie!" I yelled, sprinting down the hallway. Sam chased after me. The hallways twisted and bent, but we could hear the laughter up ahead. As we ran, the carpet darkened, and I realized we weren't leaving any footprints in the dust, even though I could feel the soggy wetness under my shoes. We found Jamie standing stock still at a bend in the corridor, staring up at a broken light fixture. There, glimmering just behind the cracked plastic, was a face. Not a child, not a human face at all. The features were shifting, flattened, eyes too far apart, mouth too wide. Jamie's mouth was slack, eyes glazed. I grabbed him and shook him. He didn't react except to murmur, "It's singing. Can't you hear it?" The pitch in the lights turned musical, notes bending and melding into something almost beautiful, almost inviting. I snapped. I covered Jamie's ears and shouted for Sam to help. Sam pulled Jamie's sleeve, and finally, Jamie blinked and gasped. The face flickered out in the light above us with a sharp snap, and the musical pitch vanished. We kept moving. The halls changed color, tinges of gray, sickly green creeping along the baseboards now. The buzzing in my skull was making me lose balance. Sam was clutching his head, muttering about shapes flickering behind the walls. At one turn, the walls bulged outward, as if something huge was pushing to break free inside them. That's when I saw something that made me freeze. A handprint, wet and red, smeared along one of the doors, and under it, 3 deep gouges, like scratch marks from something with claws. Sam whispered, "We can't stay here. We have to find Ryan and get out." We moved faster, following worsening stains and strange whimpers until we entered a hallway filled with old monitors stacked up against the walls. Most of them flickered static, but one screen glowed bright yellow. On it, Ryan's face appeared, ghostly, like a video call with bad reception. He looked straight at us and said, "Don't let them touch you. Don't listen to the voices. Find a red door. Only the red door." Then the screen went black, and the lights in the hall dimmed to a sickly orange. A low, shuddering growl echoed down the halls. We ran. The buzz was gone. Now it was whispers, snatches of words and laughter crawling under my skin. I saw motion in my peripheral vision, tall and disjointed, moving along the walls as if they were made of water. At the end of the corridor, a door stood out. Deep crimson, peeling paint, the only color that wasn't yellow or gray. We barreled toward it. The moment my hand brushed the handle, something lunged from the shadow, a shape with too many joints, its mouth peeled back in a grin that nearly split its head in half. Its arm passed right through Sam. Sam screamed, collapsing to the wet carpet, eyes wide and vacant. I grabbed Jamie and tore open the door, just as another shape swelled into the hallway behind us. I dragged him through, slamming the door shut. The next thing I remember is gasping awake on my basement floor, clutching Jamie, both of us shivering, soaking wet. The old VR headset was sparking on the carpet. Sam and Ryan were gone. I never saw Sam again. As for Ryan, his phone called me once, months later, from an unlisted number. All I heard was the hum of the fluorescent lights and a child's laughter, distant, echoing. We moved out of that house. Sometimes at night, I see flashes of sickly yellow at the edge of my vision, or the faintest taste of mold in the air. People think the Backrooms are just a scary story, a meme to laugh about. I know better. There are places in this world, maybe just out of sight, where reality frays, and the things that live there remember your face. So if you ever hear singing lights, if you ever see a red door where there shouldn't be one, just run. Don't look back. And pray you wake up before level 389 finds you again. Most people think the backrooms are just damp yellow carpet and fluorescent lights. But if you talk to the people who've actually been trapped in the deeper layers, they'll tell you the universe has more than one way to tear at the seams. My name is David, and 3 years ago, I worked the night shift at a massive, half-empty shopping mall on the outskirts of Ohio. It was a dead mall. Half the stores were boarded up, and at 2 a.m. the place was a tomb of glass and polished concrete. My job was simple. Walk the corridors, make sure no teenagers broke in, and lock down the service corridors. On a Thursday night, I was checking the basement level near the old indoor splash park that had been closed since the late 90s. The air down there always smelled faintly of bleach and old dust. I reached the end of a concrete hallway where a metal door labeled Pump Room 4 sat slightly ajar. I pushed it open, expecting to see rust and pipes. Instead, my foot hit air. I tripped, tumbling forward, and instead of hitting hard concrete, I splashed into warm, crystal-clear water. I scrambled up, gasping. I wasn't in a pump room. I was standing in knee-deep water inside an infinite maze of pristine white ceramic tiles. The ceiling above was high and arched, made of smooth, unpainted drywall, glowing with a soft, sourceless white light. There were no windows, no noise, no smell of bleach, just the faint, rhythmically slow sound of dripping water echoing from somewhere miles away. "Hello?" I called out. My voice resonated with a bizarre, crystal-clear clarity, bouncing off the wet tiles for seconds before dying out. I pulled out my phone. It was completely dead. Not just no signal, but the screen wouldn't even turn on, like the battery had been instantly drained. I turned back to where I fell, but there was no door, just a solid wall of flawless white tile. Panic tried to choke me, but the weirdest thing about this place was the atmosphere. It wasn't dark or immediately terrifying like you'd expect. It felt peaceful, unnaturally peaceful. The water was lukewarm, wrapping around my legs like a bath. But that sense of calm was the trap. I started walking through the archways. Room after room opened up. Some had deep pools that dropped off into pitch-black depths. Others were just shallow hallways with water gliding over my ankles. As I walked, I began to notice something lying on a tiled ledge. A faded blue plastic wristband from a summer camp I went to when I was 10 years old. I stopped dead in my tracks. I stared at it. It had my name written in faded Sharpie. David M. I hadn't thought about that camp in 20 years. I picked it up. It was dripping wet. How could something from my childhood be here, thousands of miles away, in a place that shouldn't exist? That's when I heard it. A voice. It wasn't a monster's growl or a distorted scream. It was my grandmother's voice, soft and comforting, calling my name from around the next tiled corner.
"David, come here, sweetie. Dinner's ready."
My heart hammered against my ribs. My grandmother had passed away 6 years prior. Every logical instinct in my brain screamed at me to run the other way. But the sound was so clear, so full of warmth, that my legs moved on their own. I waded through the water, turning past a massive tiled pillar into a large, sunlit-style chamber. Sitting at the edge of a deep pool was a figure. From behind, it looked like an elderly woman in a floral dress, her feet dangling in the water. "Gran?" I whispered, my voice trembling. The figure didn't turn around. Instead, it spoke again, but its voice didn't come from its mouth. It came from everywhere at once, vibrating through the water against my shins.
You look so tired, David.
The voice said.
Why don't you just sit down? The water is warm. You don't have to go back to work.
I took a step closer, pulled in by a wave of intense nostalgia, a desperate craving for safety. But then I looked down at the water near my feet. The reflection didn't show my grandmother. Reflected in the crystal clear pool was a tall, pale, featureless shape. It had no face, no eyes, no hair. Just a smooth, translucent white head stretched over a frame of thin, elongated limbs. It was holding a twisted, hollow mass of flesh that was mimicking the sound of my grandmother's voice. Horror slammed into me like a freight train. The illusion shattered. The figure at the edge of the pool began to uncoil, its joints snapping with the sound of breaking dry wood. It didn't turn around like a human. It twisted its torso a full 180 degrees, its blank, faceless head tilting toward me. "Ah!" I screamed and threw the blue wristband at it. The moment the plastic touched the entity, it let out a screech, a sound like metal scraping against glass, and lunged into the pool with a massive splash. I didn't look back. I sprinted through the water, my legs heavy, tearing through archway after archway. Behind me, the sound of sloshing water was coming fast, too fast. Whatever it was, it swam with terrifying speed beneath the surface. I saw a narrow passage ahead where the water was rushing downward, like a drain. Below it was a dark, narrow slide made of rusted metal pipes. I had no choice. I dove headfirst into the drain just as a pale, elongated hand broke the surface behind me, grazing the heel of my boot. I plummeted through darkness, tumbling through cold, rushing water, until I burst out into air and slammed onto a hard, dirty surface. I lay there, gasping for air, shivering violently. When I finally opened my eyes, I was lying on the wet concrete floor of the mall's basement, right outside Pump Room 4. The door was closed. I quit my job that night. I packed my things and moved across the country. It's been 3 years, but I haven't been near a swimming pool, a lake, or even a bathtub since. Because sometimes, when I'm taking a shower and I close my eyes, the smell of chlorine fills my nose. The sound of the running water softens, and right behind the stream, I hear a familiar voice whispering, telling me the water is warm and asking me to come back. People always imagine that slipping into another reality would be sudden. I used to think that too, until it happened to me. If I'd known what waited beyond that flickering exit sign, I'd have turned around and never looked back. It was late, maybe midnight. I work as a junior IT guy, fixing printers and crawling under desks for lost USB sticks. That night I was the last one in the office. My boss had sent me to check on a server in the old wing, an area we never used since the renovation. The halls felt wrong. The lights were yellower, buzzing loud enough to bury my thoughts. I tried to laugh it off. Just another night, just another old building. I had no idea I was already leaving reality behind. At the end of the hallway, I saw a narrow door marked Maintenance. The note from my boss said the server room was past it. I pushed through, expecting a closet, but I stumbled. My mind caught in that flicker where you blink and lose track of yourself. When I opened my eyes, the air tasted damp, and the humming was all-consuming. I was in a corridor that looked sort of like my office, but off, endlessly off. The carpet was soaked, squishing under my shoes. Every wall was the same jaundiced yellow. There were no windows, no furniture, just row after row of buzzing fluorescent lights. The deeper I walked, the deeper the sound burrowed into my skull. I called out, half joking, "Okay guys, funny prank." But my voice echoed, not like in a regular hallway. No, it came back wrong, delayed, like it had traveled too far and gotten tired on the way. I pulled out my phone. No signal, of course. The time blinked 12:06, but seconds weren't passing. That's when the anxiety started. I forced myself to walk, convinced I'd find the exit if I just kept going straight. Only the hallway started branching, splitting off at impossible angles. The layout didn't make sense. I tried marking my way by tearing my notebook into shreds and leaving a paper trail. But after a dozen doors, I found a scrap with my own handwriting on the floor at my feet. Panic set in. The buzzing above grew louder, verging on a scream. I started to see things in my peripheral vision, a flicker of movement down another hallway, the edge of a shoe disappearing around a yellow-lit corner. But whenever I chased it, I found only emptiness. There was never anyone there, until there was. I rounded one more endless corner and saw a figure. At least, I thought it was a person. It was tall, too tall, and its arms and legs hung slack like it forgot how to move like a human. It jittered towards me, stutter-stepping between the flickers of the lamps, never in full light. I froze. I felt the wet carpet through my socks, my breath fogging in the stale, oversized air. The thing cocked its head like it was studying me. I took a step back. It took two forward. I ran, my footsteps, wet and heavy, competing with the lamp's shriek. I lost track of time and distance, turning corner after corner until I nearly slammed into another wall. The figure never made a sound, but sometimes I'd notice its silhouette at the end of a corridor, waiting, patient. I was losing hope, my throat raw from shouting for help. At some point, I found a door, plain, a little rust around the knob, not labeled like the rest. I didn't think, just charged through. The room on the other side looked exactly like all the others, but for the first time, there was something else. An old desk, its phone ringing softly. Desperate, I ran to it. The line connected. On the other end, a voice I recognized. My own, but echoey, exhausted, whispered, "You can't get out." My hand shook as I dropped the phone. The room felt colder now, the buzzing faltering just for a second, like the lights were running out of power. That's when I heard wet footsteps behind me. Slow, patient. When I turned, the thing was there, close enough to see that its face was all wrong, stretched and blurred like a bad video call. It reached out, and I did the only thing I could think of. I covered my eyes, whispering, "It's not real, it's not real." I waited for pain, cold hands, something. Nothing happened. When I finally looked, the thing was gone, but the door was too. I was alone, in the yellow hum, my echo fading. I don't know how long I wandered after that. Time doesn't work right in the Backrooms. Eventually, I woke up, slump at my desk in the real world. My shoes were soaked. My clothes still smelled of mildew and dust. People brushed past me like nothing happened. But some nights, when I close my eyes, I hear the fluorescent hum, see the wrong yellow, feel the wet carpet underfoot. And I know it wasn't a dream. I don't work late anymore. And I never, ever open unmarked doors.